สวัสดีครับทุกคนครับยินดีต้อนรับครับ Hello everyone my name is Sunil Modi ผมชื่อ Sunil Modi ครับวันนี้จะสอนเกี่ยวกับ HTML best practices เลยใช้ divs เลย sections เลย other HTML tags อย่างไรผมจะแนะนำ classes and IDs. Today I'm going to introduce to you classes and IDs and I'm going to show you how classes and IDs work with links ผมจะแสดงว่า IDs ใช้อย่างไรกับ link ครับและ components and modularity. How do we keep our web page very modular so that when we add CSS, when we add JavaScript, it's very easy to take this component and move it around, take that component, move it around, move things around very easily. และจะแนะนำ HTML tag อื่นๆอะไร section tag, nav tag, aside tags, and a couple others. And then developer tools ข้างใน browser ของเราใช้อย่างไรครับ And I'm going to introduce to you the Microsoft webpage. What we're going to do is finally build out HTML version. So a very basic, boring, bland version of this web page. And why are we going to do that? Because I want you to start thinking in HTML. Think in terms of sections. Today we are not going to cover colors. My top one chai CSS yang rai, chai JavaScript yang rai, chai functions like this. We are not going to cover that today. All we're going to cover is hierarchy. All we're going to cover is ส่วนนี้ใช้คิดอย่างไรเกี่ยวกับส่วนนี้คิดอย่างไรเกี่ยวกับส่วนนี้คิดอย่างไรเกี่ยวกับส่วนนี้และคิดอย่างไรเกี่ยวกับส่วนนี้และต่อไปส่วนนี้และส่วนนี้และส่วนนี้คิดอย่างไรเกี่ยวกับทั้งหมดนี้และ how do we keep it contained? How do we keep it grouped together and still modular? So when we introduce CSS, when we introduce JavaScript, we can grab these things and modify them one at a time ไม่ต้องเปลี่ยนทั้งหมดเว็บเพจเปลี่ยนส่วนโดยส่วนโดยส่วน so we change section by section by section. So with that, let's get started. I have a Microsoft web page HTML here, and that is also stored on my desktop. And for the purposes of today, I've also got a few images that I'm going to show you how to upload, but also I'm going to show you how to use Unsplash, which is really cool. So today we have our Microsoft.html file, which is right here. Open that up, and it is currently empty and blank. So ข้างในนี้ผมอยากแสดงว่า h1 tag. This is an h1 tag inside my web page. All right, save, then reload. This is an h1 tag inside my web page. Cool. ผมจะใส่นี้ข้างใน div. This is an, whoops, h1. This is an h1 tag inside my div. All right. So อันนี้ดูคล้ายๆกันแค่ text ไม่มีเหมือนกันแตกต่างระหว่างทั้งสองวิธีนี้ครับ So it'll show the same exact basic text. There's really no difference between the two from a visual standpoint. But I'm going to introduce us to the developer tools. And for those of you who have never used developer tools, ถ้าไม่เคยใช้ developer tools ไปถึง view ข้างใน Chrome, view ถึง developer, the developer tools. อันนี้คือข้างใน Chrome browser, Mozilla Firefox,คล้ายๆกัน. So you're going to see developer tools right here, and we're going to click developer tools. And at the bottom, this thing shows up. It's pretty small, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so we can see it. But inside here, I've got my elements. I've got my HTML, which on my web page is HTML language English. And I have a head tag. And the head tag doesn't show all of this. Why not? ไม่แสดงทั้งหมดนี้เพราะว่าข้างๆ head tag มี arrow นี้ครับและมี3จุดที่นี่จุดที่นี่แสดงว่ามีข้อมูลข้างใน head tag และจำเป็นต้อง expand ต้องการ expand so เราจะทำ expand และเห็นว่ามี meta character set UTF มี meta name viewport มีทั้งหมดข้างในไฟล์ของผมจะแสดงว่าข้างในนี้ So if we want to see a web page that has these, I'll show you how to use this on the Microsoft web page, but I want to introduce this to you right now so you get used to it. And we have our head tag. And if we click, we can expand. We have different ways we can modify this. We can delete the elements in here and not affect our page. So we'll play around with that later. Inside here are body tags, so we can either expand or collapse. So inside my body tag, I can expand. And inside here, I can now see I have my h1 tag, which is this one. And I see the div tag, which is this div tag here. So if I want to put in comments, this is a comment above the h1 tag. This is a comment above the div tag. So ถ้าเกิดว่าผมเขียนธรรมดาเลยอยากเปลี่ยนถึง comment. If I type this out normally and want to change it to a comment, I highlight the whole thing, or I just put my cursor anywhere on the line, and I can just hit command / and it changes to a comment. Now, if we go back and reload our page, we see nai si kiao. We see a green color of this is a comment above the h1 tag, and you could comment kangbon div tag. So we see that we have both the comment above a div tag, and we have a comment above the h1 tag. That's how we can add comments. Now, I want to introduce the idea of IDs. An ID is a way to identify a particular tag. So IDs are a way to identify a particular tag. So IDs are very unique. So particular tag, very specific. IDs should be unique. There's nothing on HTML that will stop you from typing in the same ID. So if I save this and I do this, and I call this div2, and I call this div1, I will get 0 errors on my web page. This will all work just fine. There will be no errors. I have an ID here and I have an ID here. It will all work just fine. No errors, no problems. But this does create a problem if I want to have a link. So IDs within HTML, if I want a link between the page, so inside this page here, above, if I want to go down to a particular section, I want to talk about the surface, or I want to get to a particular section in here by clicking up at the very top, then I need what are called ID links. And the way I do ID links is I do hashtag div1 inside my web page. And inside here, I'm not going to see anything all that different between this page. I won't see any changes. ผมจะไม่เห็นแตกต่างระหว่างข้างในนี้เพราะว่าผมแค่จะเห็นว่า link ใหม่จะมา So I'll see a new link that comes in, and that's about it. So inside here, I've typed in a link, but I haven't typed in any text. So link to div1, save, reload. Now I have link to div1. Now if I look at the URL, ผมจะเห็นว่า URL และผมจะ copy และผมจะ paste ข้างบนที่นี้ Oops. Let's do copy link address. And there we see hashtag div1. Now this is going to go to the ID of div1. But ข้างใน page เราเห็นว่า div1 ที่นี้แล้ว So to make this more apparent, what I'm going to do is put in break tags. Break tags. Put in quite a few break tags, and we'll see this become a lot more apparent very quickly. Oops. So now all this stuff is at the bottom, link to div1. Perfect, now I see that. But I also see link to inside div2, so I'm going to put some space in between there. Whoops. Put some more space. All right. And now I have space in between div1 and div2. So if I go link div1, I'll get, this is an h1 tag inside my div1. But I can't get to div2. My link says go to div1. It finds div1, and that's it. It stops. It's not going to go to the second one. So what do I have to do? I have to make this one unique. And I can say that's div2, and I'll make another link here. And I'll change div1,ผมจะเปลี่ยนไป div1 jump to link 2. Then I'll refresh my page. Now I have link to div 1. This is an h1 tag inside my div 1, and link to div 2. This is an h1 tag inside my div 2. Perfect. All right. So we can now link within the page to the ID based on the ID. So where is this very useful? Inside what's called a Nav Bar. Maybe you've seen a Nav Bar, maybe you've seen navigation bar, but this is very common in web pages to have a Nav Bar. And inside my web page, it's not going to change anything. Nothing changes inside my Nav Bar. But this becomes now a grouping. So I can change this to ID Navbar. Done. And now I have my title, I have my navbar, and for demonstration purposes, this is only for demonstration and should not be used on any web page like this. This is really bad practice, so that's why I want to put that in there and show you that this is just a way to show in exaggeration what I am trying to display here for tags and divs. So that's div 1, that's div 2, so I don't see div 1 on my page anymore. We can see the side is scrolling up and down, and so now we know that link to div 1 goes to div 1, link to div 2 goes to div 2. All right. Why is that important? Why ทำไมอันนี้สำคัญทำไมจำเป็นต้องใช้ควรใช้ div tag? Why should we even use div tags? So inside here is what I am allowing for modularity. Modularity allows me to say that all of these components are grouped together. So all the components or elements inside a div are treated the same and grouped together. So ถ้าเกิดว่าผมอยากเปลี่ยน background ของ div, size ของ div, สถานที่ของ div บน web page, if I want to change the size, the placement, the location of the div, I can do all of that and affect all of the elements within. Div คือกล่องครับ So div is basically a container. A div is a container, and all the elements, container or a box, and all the elements within the container or box go with the styling that is applied to the box. So ถ้าเกิดว่าผมสามารถ styling บน div 2 ทั้งหมด element ข้างในนี้จะมีผลกระทบ styling ของนั้น So we're going to make sure that if we want to style div 1 or this div 2, all these elements are going to get the same exact styling when we use CSS, when we use JavaScript. But right now, I just want to show you that this is how we'd separate. So if I have many sections, and I'll show how to do that when we build out the Microsoft page. But now we can see inside of our page, we have a div down here. And that div, this is an h1 tag inside div 1. IDs are a way to identify a particular tag, and IDs should be unique. And then finally at the very bottom, if I refresh all of these, this is a tag inside. There's my paragraph element. All the components or elements inside a div are treated the same and grouped together. And a div is a container or a box, and all the elements within the container or the box go with the styling that is applied to the container or the box. So hopefully that's a brief introduction onto divs and containers. And what I will show you now is how to build out the Microsoft web page using a few different cool tricks and tools. So up top, we see a nav bar. So I'm going to delete all of this, and I will show you how to build out the Microsoft web page. So above, we have the nav bar, and inside here, we have the image. And inside here, I'm going to use the image of Windows 10.png, and we'll see what that looks like. All right. So there's a little Microsoft logo, very similar to that one, or maybe I'll use the ms365.png, and we'll see what that looks like. Perfect. And inside this image, I want to have a, whoops, inside here, I'm going to put this into a div because I want this grouped together. And inside here, I'm going to have a Microsoft logo. Oops. Microsoft. And so now I see Microsoft right next to that logo, just like here. Again, Anika, HTML, MyChai CSS. So I have Microsoft there. What happens if I wrap this in a p tag? P tag comes with automatic line breaks. So I don't want the p tags here in this case. I just want the Microsoft logo. That's it. And now we're back to normal. All right. Outside of this div, what I also want is inside my navbar, I want links. And inside my Microsoft page, I've got, let's say, Microsoft, and I'm not going to make these links go anywhere, but Microsoft 365. This will be Office. This will be Windows. This will be Surface. And we'll do one more, Xbox. So now when I look at my page, and I see all of these are now in the same line inside of the Navbar element. But what I want to do is wrap these inside of a div because these are all going to be treated the same as well. So there we go. Now what I want to do is add a class here, and I'm going to call these Navbar links. To this div, I'm going to add a class logo. And to this nav, I'm going to add a ID, Navbar. All right, so what did I do? Here I've got an ID of Navbar for my main element, and I can add classes here as well. I can add a class of Navbar. But I will explain Navbar, the difference between class and ID. Classes have zero impact on HTML. ไม่มีผลกระทบบน HTML เลยครับ ไม่มี interaction with links. There's no interaction with links. There's no interaction with anything else. These are just purely for CSS integration and JavaScript integration. But I'm showing you how to add them in, how to add in these attributes to make your life easier when you integrate with CSS, when we integrate with JavaScript, how to think about using classes, and how to think about using IDs, and how we can use them together. So after this, I've got my section of my main logo and all these links. I'm not going to worry about these images right now. And I'm going to work on this section right here. So this is what's generally called a hero section. So I can either put that into a div tag or I can put it into a section tag. Here I'm going to try using a section tag. We're going to call this the hero section. Inside my hero section, I've got my bundle countdown sale. So I'm going to put in div, and I'm going to put in class of hero text, which is going to be a H4 countdown sale. And inside here, I'm going to put in my paragraph text, which is whatever this is, up to 50% off Xbox digital games. Put this into a H5. And paragraph tag, level up your savings. With great deals on must-have games. With great deals on must-have games. Perfect. And then next to the div, Kang div, ผมจะใส่ div อื่น และจะนี้ใช้ class hero image. And here we're going to use a image, but the source is going to be from a place called Unsplash. So Unsplash is kind of nice. Unsplash is a really cool website that allows me to use randomly generated images off the internet. So if I go to random Unsplash in Google, Unsplash source, I can plug in whatever I want here and then use this URL slash 300 by 200. If I copy this link and put it into a browser, now I get an image that's 300 by 200. Cool. And I'll show you the uniqueness if you use it within your web page, what that looks like when we load it. And I want this 300 by 200, sorry. And we'll see the image change. Perfect. Now we've got countdown sale. This is all within one section. So if I look at my section, that blue color shows me all of those things are going to be grouped together. Blue color จะแสดงว่าสีฟ้าแสดงว่าทั้งหมด element ข้างในกล่องนี้อันนี้กล่องและทั้งหมดสิ่งที่ข้างในกล่องนี้จะ it'll be treated the exact same way. จะมี I don't know how to say that in Thai. Will be, yeah, treated the same way. So if I put a background, ถ้าจะใช้ background บนกล่องนี้ทั้งหมด element นี้จะมี background ด้วยครับ All right, so that's my hero section. After my hero section, I've got my different products section. So I've got different products. So I'm going to call this section products section, and we're going to call this ID products. Up to you on what you want to call it. แล้วแต่คุณอยากเรียกนี้อย่างไรครับ I just want to call it products, and we're going to put in some images. And the source for these images is going to be xbox.png. And under here, I forgot to put my div. So Control X. And inside here, I want to treat these all the same. So I can say class product, no S. So class is product. And inside here, I'm going to put in buy Xbox games and consoles. And I'm going to copy this down 4 times. And inside my class product, I'm going to have the Xbox PNG, Win, MS365. Choose your Microsoft 365. นี่คือ MS or Win 10. The shop Windows 10. And the final one I think I have is business. But I'm going to mistype this one. So you can see what happens. ถ้าผมเขียนผิดผมแค่อยากแสดงว่าจะเกิดอะไรถ้าเกิดว่าผมเขียนผิดทั้งหมดนี้ we have buy Xbox games and consoles, choose your Microsoft 365, shop Windows 10 และนี่โอ้ย shop for business ไม่มี icon ทำไม we don't have an icon for this one. What happened? Cannot find the icon. I called it business.png, not biz.png. So in here I need to correct this to business. ถ้าผมเขียนผิดและไม่มีตัวอักษร S สุดท้าย then I'm going to get an error because I can't find the image. And I'll get an error here in the console saying file, get file, users, roadblock, desktop, business.png, error file not found. Oh, why? Because I mistyped business. So cool. Now I have that section. อันนี้แค่ HTML มีวิธีไม่มีวิธีแสดงข้อมูลข้างๆกันแค่จะแสดงข้อมูลเหมือนกันแสดงว่าใน text ของเราครับ so it'll go top to bottom. We cannot go side to side in HTML. This will always display top to bottom and then automatic from side to side if we ever go that route. So if I got rid of if I brought in CSS, then I could change things up. But right now I cannot because I don't have CSS. So on to the next section. This section I'm going to call deals. ID is deals. And just like before, I'm going to have 4 divs. Div, and then I can do a hashtag deal in Sublime Text to make it a little bit faster. So Control C. And inside here, I've got my images. And I'm going to do another unsplash. Source equals, and I'm going to take my unsplash link. Now unsplash is a little bit unique where I have to change up one of these numbers in order for the image to be different. So if I left this the same, let's do a refresh. So we'll see that image and that image are the exact same. Wait, I don't want the same image. ไม่อยากใช้ image เหมือนกันครับ So we'll show you how to change that and what that looks like. But for now, I want to do whatever this deal is. Save $150. Let's do save 150 on select new surface laptop. Go. All right. Let's see if we can copy. There we go. Perfect. And I'm going to copy this down 4 more times. So we have 4 of those. And we will copy and paste this into here. And change that up to a H4. All right. And change these to H4s and change these to H4s. All right. Oops. Let's copy that one and paste it in there. And blend by need to Microsoft 365 and Sutai blend All right, so that is our deals section. So if I come down, I see now I've got 5 images that are the exact same. If I look back, oh, I've got all these images are the exact same. I've got my hero section or my Navbar section. I've got my hero section. I've got that section. I've got the section where I have the 4 logos. And now I have this section down here, which is all my deals. Cool, but doesn't look great because ตอนนี้ไม่ใช้ CSS ไม่ใช้ grid system หรือ flexbox system หรือไม่มีเฉพาะ styling ในคลองนี้ครับ But also, we have another problem. All these images are the exact same. So I want to change that. And by changing just this last number and making the size slightly bigger, I can then call different images for all of these. So now I have 1 image, 2 images, 3 images, 4 images, 5 images. Done. Fast way to get images. Cool. And now I've got a site that looks very similar to this. Now, for this section, ผมแค่ copy นี้เลยเก็บข้างในข้างบน webpage ของผม So, one more thing for best practices that should be done above every section is deals. We want to put in the comments products and hero. And one thing I did forget and did not do, which should be done, is to plan out this based on my comments first. So I should go down here, and technically I should have done this. So Xbox section, whoops, Xbox section for business. And COVID response. And then holiday deals, holiday story กระโดดครับและหลังจากนั้นมี footer. Okay, So now in my Xbox section, I'll put in another section and I'll call it ID Xbox. และข้างในนี้ผมจะใส่ div และข้างใน div ผมจะมี image และมี source และ source ของนี้คืออะไรครับ source ของนี้คือ let me see what I called it จำไม่ได้จะเปลี่ยนชื่อนี้ Xbox oops Xbox deal and this one plain Python story. All right, so inside my source Xbox deal dot JPEG. What did I call that? .png. .png. So we'll see what that looks like now. And beautiful. So we've got this Xbox Game Pass, and it covers up the whole screen. Sweet. And that's coming along really well. So now I can look at my ID for this section. If I wanted to, I could make this the same. ถ้าเกิดว่าผมอยากใช้วิธีแบบนี้วิธีแบบที่เล็กทำได้ผมแค่อยากแสดงว่าใช้วิธีอื่นๆอย่างไรและดูอย่างไรด้วย So I just wanted to show you what it looks like if you wanted to do it this way and have an entire image for a section. You absolutely can. The main important thing to remember here is these are all different sections and different ways to lay them out. There is no right way or wrong way. There's just a way that works. And that's it. Checking the console, make sure we don't have any errors. Cool. After that section, we have our for business section. Our for business section ของเราดูเหมือนกัน deals section ของเราก็ผมทำ copy ได้ครับ so I'm going to change up this one the deals section and I'm going to paste it into here and instead of deals I'm going to say business and in Sublime Text I can just hit Control D copy them all at once business and call that section business deals. So business deals and we can change these up to be more consistent. Business deal. Perfect. Now if I look at it, we can change up the text. See. Page 4. Bundle now and save. Reopen, return, and engage. And plain text to me. The Microsoft Teams. Chat, meet, call, and collaborate. Leเกือบสุดท้าย or ล่าสุด and almost to the final one Microsoft Security Response Center. Perfect. So we have all of those. Now let's see what happens. I copied and pasted, so it should be okay, but let's see. So we've got images, sections, deals, Xbox, and oh, cool, we've got our images. Now, I use the same images as before. ผมใช้ images เหมือนกันจากedit ใน edit ถ้าเกิดว่าผมอยากเปลี่ยนแค่จำเป็นต้องเปลี่ยนไปเบอร์ที่นี่ so if I want to change this to 5 and I can change the 300 or the 205 เปลี่ยนไป200หรือ300ก็ได้ครับผมแค่เปลี่ยนไปเบอร์ล่าสุด I'm just changing the last number and that's it and now I'll have 10 different images or 9 different images, sorry. Image 1, then we have 4 images here, and we have another 4 images here. So perfect. I don't know why that one didn't come, but we'll find out. And up in my div, what I want to do is change up the heading for this, and I'll put in an H3 for business. There we go. All right, looks good for business. And final set or COVID response section. So inside here section, hopefully now you're getting the idea of how to plan out COVID response, how to plan out a page like this. So in our COVID response section, we just have Microsoft's COVID response and a button for learn more or a link for learn more. And in here we've got our H1. We'll put this inside of a paragraph tag, and the learn more, we'll put this inside of a tag with href going nowhere. Learn more, and let's see what that looks like. All right, cool. So we have all of that there. There's Microsoft's COVID response. I want to go over this one more time.ผมจะทบทวนนิดหน่อย So Navbar Groupด้วยกัน. So we have a div there, and then we have a div for our links. And then our section, hero section, we've got a div for our hero text, which here's our text, and then div for our hero image, and then we have our entire section. และมี product section ข้างใน product section มี class product ไม่มี ID product. So ถ้าเกิดว่าอยากเปลี่ยนไปทั้งหมดนี้ในอนาคตเปลี่ยนไปได้ I can put product 1, 2, 3, 4 if I want to, or just product in general. แล้วแต่คุณครับ. But I can see now I have my images and I have my text, image, text, image, text. They follow the same exact sort of logic. And then even down to my COVID response section down here, we've got a COVID response. And finally, my holiday story. I'm going to copy ผมจะ copy Xbox section เพราะว่าผมแค่ใช้image ให้นี้ครับ. So I can call this story. And we'll see what that looks like. Cool, now I've got my story. So I have all of this together. None of these links work. It's not an actual link. It's just a image or a picture. และสุดท้ายมี footer. ข้างใน footer ของนี้ it'll just be a whole bunch of links, and there's no way to really do this. So in HTML, what this ends up looking like, ข้างใน HTML มี footer tag, ข้างใน div จะมี class what's new,และข้างในนี้จะมีunordered list,และมี a link. Whoops. Why do you not want to work? Weird. Actually, let's do this. ผมจะ wrap ทั้งหมดนี้ข้างใน links. Oops. และ a tag href equals pound. และทั้งหมดนี้ wrap ข้างใน list item. Oops. li. All right, เราจะเห็นว่าดูอย่างไรครับ. So if I take a look at it now, I have all of these links down here. The what's new, Surface Duo, Surface Laptop Go. I have all those list items in that. And I want to take out this, whoops, made a mistake here. And I want to put that up there at the top and no link. And wrap this into do a H4. All right, so what's new? All my links are there. ดูไม่สวยแบบนี้ครับ แต่ถ้าเกิดว่าผมอยากมี6ส่วนครับ ใช้ได้ครับ ใช้แบบนี้จำเป็นต้อง copy นี้6 ครั้งครับ so I'm going to copy this 6 times and I'm not going to change the links inside. I'm just going to show you how to do this, what the idea is. So Microsoft Store, and call this Microsoft Store. Keep the links the same. Do it again. Education. 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 And hopefully you get the idea that there are going to be 6 sections. And we'll see how it looks. So we see this is section 1, section 2, section 3. And we'll go out with enterprise, developer, and company. So enterprise, developer, and company. So here ถ้าเกิดว่าผมเปลี่ยนถึงจาก class ถึง ID เปลี่ยนไปได้ if I want to change this to from a class to a company, I can. For these purposes, since we're inside of a footer, I thought best practices inside of a footer would be to keep it a class. Each one of them has a unique name already that I'm probably not going to use anywhere else. But ถ้าเกิดว่าผมอยากใช้ในสถานที่อื่นๆใช้ได้นี่ footer tag ถ้าเกิดว่าอยากเพิ่ม ID footer ใช้ได้แต่ปกติไม่จำเป็นต้อง so I can call this footer and leave it at that, or I can just leave it alone and just leave it as footer because เพราะว่าปกติมีแค่1 footer ต่อหน้าครับ and then we have below that is my section on sitemap. So this will be a div ID sitemap. ปกติส่วนนี้คือ sitemap. So down below here, this is called a sitemap. And it's very, very similar เหมือนกันแบบส่วน Navbar ของเราข้างบน. So I can grab this whole thing and put it down below again. And it's the same exact concept and idea. So that's the sitemap. And there we go. Now I have, instead of Microsoft 365, I have sitemap. Instead of Microsoft, I have English, United States. I have contact, Microsoft. I have privacy, terms of use, trademarks, safe and eco, about our ads, and finally I have a copyright, which I can do as ampersand copy Microsoft 2020. And there we go. So if we zoom in here, we see all of our links for our footer. So I'm going to expand this so we can see it properly. We have the links for all of our footer. We have what's new, Microsoft Store, education, developer, all those. And we have English, United States. Got to change the logo, but it's okay. And then finally we have sitemap, contact, all those links at the bottom. ดูไม่ดีดูน่าเกลียดมากเพราะว่าเป็น HTML ธรรมดา แต่จำเป็นต้องคิดใน HTML เพราะว่าอยากใช้สั่ง HTML ทุกตองข้างในtemplate ของเราก็หลังจากสั่งทุกตองข้างใน template ของเราใช้ CSS ส่วนโดยส่วนโดยส่วนได้ Now we can approach this section by section by section. We can modify the Navbar section. We can modify the hero section. We can modify the product section. We can modify the deals section. ถ้าเกิดว่าใน programming มันไม่อยากเปลี่ยนทั้งหมด web page หลายครั้งเราแค่อยากbreak it up into smaller sections. Then we can dissect and figure out how to modify each one very individually. So I can now modify this box, I can modify this box, and then this box. I can modify box by box by box. Inside my footer, I can now modify each of these sections one by one by one. And each one of them has a different trick. So I can modify this section, this box. I can even see what's going on with the margins and the padding. So that we'll get into when we talk about CSS. But for now, I just want to give you an idea of how to build out this web page the way it might look for this before it turns into this. So step 1 อันดับที่หนึ่งสร้างแบบนี้บน HTML ธรรมดาหลังจากนั้น then we can start to add in CSS section by section by section. So that's it for today. ผมหวังว่าช่วยให้คิดเกี่ยวกับ HTML อย่างไรช่วยให้คิดเกี่ยวกับ planning HTML planning web pages อย่างไรและถ้าเกิดว่าเห็น web page อื่นๆคุณชอบพยายามสร้าง web page ตัวเองทำได้ so if you see a web page you like or a format you like or a section you like or a way that it's laid out try and build it on your own in HTML first and then convert it over to CSS and JavaScript and add in all the nice things but we have to get used to thinking about this because we really want to get used to thinking about IDs and classes and all of the way we're going to use these hooks, classes, and IDs for our web page. So I hope that helps. ถ้าเกิดว่ามีคำถาม post ใน Facebook page, post ใน YouTube ได้ครับ So until next time, thank you very much and all have a great day. Bye.